Hey guys, I want to talk about something I came across this week that I should have recorded on, and I didn't. And I'm doing this on a Sunday. I think Kevin Samuels was a YouTuber. Um, he was a men's rights guy, and I want to say that I have been a men's rights person for quite a while. I used to follow Tommy Sotomayor years ago when I was in Charlotte. He's kind of conservative, and I started learning about the left. I think like Trump got in office, and that was Alex Jones era. I started learning about how that stuff's not really for us. So I kind of, I guess in my mind, connected men's rights to conservatism, which I'm not a conservative. And, um, I've listened to things here, up here about men's rights stuff here and there. And heard about Kevin Samuels a while back, didn't follow him. One of those things you hear about, but you don't look at until the person actually, in this case, passes. But I agree with much of what he said. I think that he was a very deep guy. I think he was a man maybe ahead of his time. Kevin Samuels is an example of many people who speak the truth. Because all I've seen since he passed is women out here attacking him, saying he was broke. He died with a white woman. He died alone, which he didn't. He died with a woman. He was having sex, I understand, and he fell on top of the woman. He didn't die alone, and maybe he was killed. That remains to be seen. There's something I've been watching his videos. I've been just nothing but watching his videos. Just really, he's a god among men. This is a great guy, and I understand he made a lot of money compared to other YouTubers. He was talking about some facts that basically men already have to accept failure, and that women don't, and that there's been and really, one thing I've been coming to my mind over and over with him that no one spoke on is that he's really telling black women the reality in a feminist world. That with feminism, people have been led to believe that everything is everything. That there's like everything has been redefined. And what he's saying is that may be the case, but that if you're average, you should accept an average man. You should maybe lower your standards and be more realistic. And he's really been knocked for it, he's been attacked for it. He's really caught fire behind that reality. Women that just for whatever reason don't want to acknowledge the reality that you have to accept certain things. And he was talking about how women were talking about they don't need men. And he was like, they were talking about like grandma's house and all that. And he was saying how a lot of times grandpa paid off the house and he died. And grandma lives in the house for 10, 20 years after. And how grandma didn't forget him. That's why you seen the pictures of him up in the house. That's why they had nobody sat in his chair. These are things that for me, I know are real. And that you had a lot of black men back then bust their ass to pay for their houses and put their kids through school, and bust their ass to be able to have a good life for their kids, for their families, and that black women are trying to twist it as in this was something else. No, that was a labor of love, and that was something that it should be remembered as such. And he's talking about we should take care of ourselves, and he's talking a lot about looking good, cleaning your shoes off, shaving, doing your facial stuff, how you should clean your body, and I think he probably should have done more talking about actual, your vitamins and your minerals and what you eat. I don't know if he talked about that or not. But the point of the matter is he spoke on a lot of things that in the black community, us growing up without parents and proper parental advisement, it's just reality. And it's that the black community, we are so broken and we are so confused and we are so diffused and we have deviated in our thought processes that this man speaking truth is thus then hated. That's what Kevin Samuels was to me. He was a guy that was basically just pointing out reality, and it saddened to me that he died. He was, I don't know if he's in his 60s or what. They're saying he had child support stuff. They're saying that one of his marriages, the woman made more money than he did. What I've seen with the women and some men are trying to say is that he was a fraud, and that he wasn't. He was talking about high value men, but he was not one himself. And for me, that doesn't change the reality of what he was talking about. There's plenty of people that have private lives and secret lives, and we find out later on they had boyfriends. That doesn't change my point of view of them, and that does not change the truth of their statements. And I'm gonna refuse to look at him in that way. That, well, he was a fraud, and we're gonna celebrate his death. That's wickedness. And that kind of proves his point that for those women, I'd say you're a sour ass bitch if you feel that way. If you feel that this man telling you that because you're in your late 30s, your early 40s, and you don't have this type of man you're looking for, you're in a danger zone. That's reality. And he told one woman, I saw last night, he was saying that she wanted a $500,000 man, but he's not going to have any type of parental control over her. She has a kid, 13-year-old boy, and the boy's father in the picture. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Men like that aren't looking for that. And the one woman was telling her son want to change, would reevaluate her views, and he says, you're going to die alone. And then the one I saw where a woman's a $500,000 man, and she just basically want to be taken care of, but not have to. She wouldn't owe him anything as far as having kids and things like that. That's not what they're looking for. So you're, like my daddy used to tell me, you got a champagne taste, but a beer bucket. That's what Kevin Samuels would be to me. That's how I view him now, and by connecting him with the Brooklyn subway shooter and people like that, you're not going to change my view of that man. You're just not. And I'm going to say this too, you've had a lot of these people who have committed horrific acts, who had some true viewpoints. I've talked here about Kaczynski in his paper, Industrial Society and Its Future. I agree with much of that paper, talking about how that in the future you have robots taking over, people will not have the same jobs they have, people will be disconnected from the environment. Things. I agree with that. We're living in that reality today. There's other people who have committed atrocious acts and acts of violence. It doesn't take away from the truth of the people they followed. When it comes to the New Zealand, with the Christchurch shooter back in the day, supporting Trump and all that, and referring to Trump in his manifesto, referring to another person, Candace Owens, that's different because he was emboldened by violence. And that's what that was. That was violence. And the fact Republicans didn't see that shows you that they're a party of fascism and they're a party of violence. Whereas, this Brooklyn shooter guy, the videos I've seen, he was, I guess, proud this guy could control women or something. Well, that wasn't the point of Kevin Samuels' content. It wasn't to control women. It was to point out to them that you're average. Get over it. And that you're expecting something from men that you're not deserved. And that's not the reality if you want to be successful in the romantic game. That's it. I haven't seen any evidence that he was a woman hater. I haven't seen any evidence. And even if he was, that still doesn't take away from the truth of his message. I think that, I think that people like him should be remembered for who they were and the message they put forward. It's sad to me that the black community is so broken and is so damaged that you have black women celebrating this man's death. That's sick. And that's one of the reasons why I did this video is that is truly sick to me. To celebrate a man's death. This man didn't, and I'm not, this wasn't Hitler. This wasn't a person crying out for violence. This is a person who was just basically saying, black women, the world may have changed due to feminism, but for many black men out there, it has not changed what we want, what black men out here want, and what high value men want. Because being a high value, one point he tried to make, and this is veritas, this is truth. Feminism is about changing society, right? And in many ways, it's been, truth, valuable, women being able to vote, things like that. But when you've got that kind of money, $500,000 a year or more, you're creating your own world. You don't have to go in that world. One thing I learned when I was a kid, like going to Epicenter in Charlotte and going to places like that where they have stores and the stores be more expensive and stuff. I didn't understand then they're expensive, so those people don't have to go down there with the unwashed masses. That's a separate world, so it can be more money. It's like a truck stop. Gummy worms in the truck stop can be $1.30, $1.20. Why? Because you're paying for the privilege. You're not driving to Walmart and find somewhere to park. You may get towed at Walmart. You're in a truck stop. You're safe. You're where you're supposed to be at. You got your fuel here, your showers in the back. You get something to eat in the restaurant over there. So everything's more expensive due to the location and the privilege of being there. Same thing with Epicenter. You got the bars. I don't know how it is now, but you had Whiskey River. You had a CVS store. All that was close to Uptown. That light rail right next to it. So all that, it's proving my point that when you have that kind of money, you're in another world. And feminism, you can choose not to play part in it. You can choose not to be a part of that. You could be mad at me for saying this. You could be mad at Kevin Samuels for promoting this. That's fine. But you being mad about this content doesn't change the reality if you're looking for those kind of men. That's it. So what do you do when you can't, when you hate reality and you can't oppose reality? Is you attack this man, you make mockery of this man, you call him gay. And I first learned about him on Vlad TV a while back, and I was watching his interview when he died. And they were talking about gay rumors and all. He said, first of all, what's wrong with being gay? And that hit me. I mean, that really hit me because first of all, people try to say that's not an answer. That me saying that isn't an answer. First of all, the fact that he can respond that way shows you that this is not a person of hate. Because a person of hate would have responded with rage. And most people on Vlad TV do that. They respond with anger. He didn't respond. He's very clear. What's wrong with being gay? My content isn't about bashing gay people. So where is that coming from? My content is about the relationship of women and men, especially black, in our society today, and our values. Our materialistic connections. That's it. You can't respond to a man dressing nice, carrying himself in a proper way, and say that, well, you're gay. That's gay. This isn't the 40s. This isn't the 60s. You can't do that no more. This man had a business, and in that business, he chose to conduct himself in a proper manner, to look clean, to shave, to take care of himself. And that's what he was talking about. And this idea of hating women, I watched a video the other night where he was literally telling men, that you need to shave and you need to do this and you need to exfoliate and all that. And saying like, y'all dirty niggas and all that stuff. So that's a bunch of bull crap. He was just knocking women. He wasn't. To me, he was telling black men and black women both, up your game. You want more, up your game. Financially and otherwise, that's to me what Kevin Samuels, his message will be: up your game, up, man. You want better, up your game. Don't, don't be the dog chasing a car, because you never catch it. And then you're going to blame it on the road and this. No, you know. I think that attacks on Kevin Samuels about the gay stuff, it also kind of reveals the black community and homophobia too. Because even if it comes out that he was gay, I wouldn't care. I seen one he talked about, I guess people call in, they show their picture, and it was a picture of a man in the bed. And they tried to say that, oh, it was probably a guy in the bedroom with him. If I had a show when I had a gay man in here, I wouldn't have a camera pointed at the fucking bed. Secondly, I've got white walls. There's a white ceiling here. A lot of apartments have white walls. So connecting his picture, and in his room, to me, his room was darker. And the dude in the bedroom, that was a much brighter background. But the point remains the same. That has nothing to do with the content he promoted. It has nothing to do with it. Him being gay or otherwise means nothing. And the fact that someone would go to that, that's homophobic. He pretty much pretty intelligent guy. And I think that the attacks, it also shows you, kind of how, I don't want to say black women, but you have those people, the way they come at people, that it's about attacking you and not your argument. And it's about making things personal and making things ugly, and really kind of ganging up on people to shut them down. Instead of dealing with the message he promoted and disagreeing with it, you choose to attack him in a personal manner. I respect him more knowing that. People have come out and said that he basically was promoting them, saying that, he was trying to bring other folks up with them. I 100% agree with that, man. That is the way, that's the way we should operate. Like John Kennedy said, a rising tide raises all boats. And that's the way it should be. Anyone that's hating on this man after he's passed, and using, ad hominem attacks and personal attacks, it makes me question their morality more than question his sexual identity. This is 2022. Why does it even matter? Unless that's your way of thinking. Anyway, a few things to think about. Thanks for listening.